Hello, everybody. How you guys doing? Nicodemus Kane here, back once again, just to get some things off my mind, because my mind just races all the time, especially now, especially since I have given my heart over to Jesus and have asked the Lord to open my eyes every day. My mind races constantly. I don't really have too much like major stuff to talk about. I had some free time here and I just started thinking, man, I should probably say something because tomorrow I'm going to be off doing some stuff with my mom, and I don't know if I'll be able to do anything Sunday, but I said, I just want to get some stuff off of my chest. I've been just listening to some stuff, looking some stuff up, and I've had some experiences over the past week that's just like, you know what? Let's talk about it. Let's try to figure this out. Let's try to open this up for discussion so that I can exercise whatever. I don't want to say demons. Well, maybe it's true. Maybe exercise some demons out of my head. I don't know. Before we get started, of course, I like to always say that you don't have to believe a single word that I'm saying. If you don't want to be a part of this, then you can quite simply turn off the video and walk away. It's fine with me. If anything that I say sparks your interest at all, and you think that you can either disprove me, or you think that it's just total bunk, then feel free by all means to go look it up for yourself. If you can prove me wrong, hey, you can prove me wrong. I'm not a perfect person. I'm a fallible man. I mean, that's all I am. I'm just some guy with books that I read and who's able to listen to videos on YouTube and able to look up the information that these people talk about, and it's been kind of crazy. You also don't have to believe anything I say. Because that's for you. You either believe it or you don't believe it. No, it matters to me only in that I wish you could see, but if you can't see, then you probably won't see. That's life. That's just the way it is. Because you're either not going to see it or you won't see it. So anyways, let's just talk. Let's just talk about stuff that's happened. Let's just talk about just random stuff I've been hearing over the past week or so. And I'm not going to make this long. Sometimes I get on a talk and we talk for like 2 hours. I don't want to talk for 2 hours. I just want to just kind of get stuff off my chest. I may or may not make another one of these on Sunday. I don't know. If I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. First thing I kind of want to talk about, I thought my dog was up there, but I guess not. That was the heater. That was the heater kicking on. It's been cold today. Ooh, it's been freezing today. First thing I want to talk about is the power of speech. Man, okay. So there's a lot of people talk about the power of speech. The what we say, how we say it. You can. The Bible actually says you can literally move mountains with faith and speech. And there's something to it. There's my dog. I knew she was there. Come on. Come on. Come here. But you can literally move mountains with enough faith and with your words. That's how God pulled the universe into effect. Did you know that? He said a word and then everything came into being. Did you know that? Of course you knew that. But the reason I say that is the other night I was asleep, what you would call asleep. This might have even been a week ago. I don't even know. I don't even remember because I didn't really talk about it back then. It just it happened. And I woke up in my sleep, and it was exactly like everybody says whenever you have the Lila, what's it called? what's it called? The sleep paralysis. There you go. Thank you. The sleep paralysis is where you're sleeping and then you startle yourself awake and you feel there's something in the house or something in the room with you and you cannot move to save your life at all. You cannot move a thing and you just feel trapped where you are. I've had it a couple times, especially recently with turning my heart over to God. Um, I was actually saying something about that today. Is that ever since I started believing, man, I can feel the presence of evil on me. Why am I holding my phone? Oh, I remember why I was holding my phone. Okay, but I can feel it all around me, and there's days where I have to stop and say, Jesus, please just push the evil away from me because I can't stand, I can't breathe. It's just so overwhelming. It's just here, it's there, and I think that's a part of it. I think once they know that you've waken up, man, they come after you. They come after you hard. So I was awake and I just had that feeling, that just terrible unease of God. There's something going on, and I got to move, and I just couldn't move, and my whole body just felt like it just felt like every muscle in my body was just pressure. This is what it felt like. It just felt like and I couldn't move. I could wiggle my fingers. That was about all I could do. I couldn't do anything else, and I just. I just stopped and said, in the name of Jesus, I compel all the spirits, all the evil spirits in the house just to go away. And it lightened up a little bit, and I started being able just to move a little bit more. And I was able to just kind of lift my head up just a little bit, and I just kind of put my head down a little bit again, closed my eyes, and I said the same exact thing, except this time it was a conviction. It was louder. It was with conviction, and I was like, in the name of Jesus Christ, I command everything in this room to leave. And as soon as I did it, it was just it washes over you. It's just like the whole just completely washes over you. I know. Go, get off me. Come on. I know you stink, man. You need a bath. You want to go get a bath? Watch her shrink away from me. You want a bath? You want? she does not like the B word. But yeah, it was, man. It was. Ow! Stop it, please. Come on. You're just hurting me now. Crap! Scratch my knee all up. But it just washed over me, and it felt like all that pressure that was inside my body just washed away. And I just got up, I looked around the room, and there was nothing, and I just felt better and clear, and I was able to go to sleep, and it was beautiful. Now, of course, naysayers, and of course me, if it were 10 years ago, if it were 20 years ago, I would have said, "Oh, that's just you making, your own mind, making that work the way you needed it to work, so that you didn't feel bad and all this stuff." And it was just your brain just creating a thing. And sleep paralysis is only because your body is completely asleep, and when you wake up, you can't really move it. Hey, that's fine. You can have that if you want. For the people and I know there's some, because it was a couple days ago. There was a video of somebody that they were expressing their testimony, and no, it wasn't a video. It was a comment on something. I think it was a comment on a video or something. And somebody said, they had done the exact same thing. They had a problem with it, and they said, by invoking the name of Jesus and telling whatever it was to go away, it went away, and then they felt better about it. And it's not the first time I've heard it either. I've heard several other people have the same experience, and if it is just us making our own thing, then hey, there you go. But if it's actually something, then just kind of keep that in mind, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why. I just that was something I needed to get off my chest. I That happened, and it was an amazing kind of feeling to just feel it, and it washes over you too. It really does wash, just completely washed over you, and the whole room just felt like it just lightened up. Like the whole mood just felt like it lightened up. And I have asked since then to just keep the house clean because you don't know. You just can't understand it. It's just something. But yeah, today's kind of been a little bit of a downer. I've just felt like something's been hovering over me today, and I've just I've been asking God for guidance all day today to make sure I'm in the right place where I'm supposed to be. Because it's been weird. It's just been a weird day. I had a job interview that probably didn't turn out very well. And then I was out on the road. I drove down to another job that I used to work at just to see if they are working yet. They're not. I thought I kind of missed the boat on it, so I had to go look for myself, one of those kinds of things. And on the way home, man, I was inundated with numbers. It was popping at me. Just everywhere I looked, it was just numbers. The first weird ones I saw, and this doesn't have anything to do with anything. Like I said, we're just kind of talking off the cuff here. The first thing I saw was these two buses. They were from Georgia. Must have been like some kind of. The first thing I thought was it was like a high school field trip, maybe, or maybe like a senior citizens thing. But these two buses, and the first one it was a number 914, and then the second one was 911, and I was like, that's funny, 911. So they go off on this exit, and then I saw it was a license plate of a car. Was it the truck? I think it was a truck. As soon as they got off, there was a truck that passed by me, and I just happened to glance at the number that was on his plate, and it ended in like a 914, and I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of coincidental. I mean, it happens. And just those discernment hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I tell you, every time something happens, you just kind of, when you feel the hairs stand up on the back of your neck, you just kind of like, I gotta go look at that. I gotta see what's going on. So I'm like, oh, okay, well then there's something to this. So I started keeping my eyes out, and I didn't really see much anything at first until there was a car that got off on this other, the highway 465 in Indianapolis is the dumbest thing in the world. There's a place where you're going down, it's 3 lanes, and then it splits off here, and then it comes back in here, plus it comes back in here, which is just like it's the mess of the century, the way that it works. So you've got this exit right here where everybody's kind of slowing down on, and traffic's already starting to slow down, and then you've got these idiots that are just like rushing in here trying to get in before these other idiots from the other side, and everybody's trying to cram into one lane. It's such a mess. But it was a car came in over this side, and I happened to glance. I wasn't really looking because I was trying to not wreck with all these people. I glanced at his, and he had a 194. Or no, it was a 149. Sorry, not 194. It was a 149 because 49 was the number that kept popping up. So I'm like, okay, well, this is interesting. It doesn't have to be anything. You see numbers all the time. You can put numbers together. Even though I said you got to follow the numbers because sometimes numbers pop up, and there's reasons that these numbers pop up. The universe is made of numbers. You just got to follow them, and God puts numbers in certain places as signs, not just stuff in heaven, but as signs to show you that He's there. He's a part of what's going on, and I've always followed numbers my entire life, and I've always heard that Tesla did everything in threes, and I followed that for a long time, and my life went really good following things in threes. And then I started hearing about how bad the number three could be because the Illuminati had it, and yada yada yada. And it's like, oh, okay. So I stopped using the number three, and everything just kind of started falling apart again. And I don't think it's because it's a double-edged sword. It really is a double-edged sword. So if you follow the numbers of the world, you could be following the world. You're not supposed to follow the world. But if you follow the world, if you are of the world, then you could be following, like I said, you could be following the world. You could be following the natural rhythm of the world, and we're not supposed to. We're supposed to be a part of this world, be separated of this world. We're not supposed to be of this world. And I have this problem going back and forth because, again, following the numbers, or at least those numbers, it worked for me. And there's, people say, well, three is what the I almost saying Antichrist. Not Antichrist. Three is what the Illuminati use, and yada yada yada. But at the same time, three is the Holy Trinity. The Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, the whole thing. So it goes either way, and I've been having a hard time with it. And the other day I heard somebody said, a lot of the stuff that we call evil, like the certain numbers, the Pyramid of Egypt, Great Pyramid of Egypt, all this other kind of stuff, the constellations in the sky, they could be considered bad because the world uses them for, whatever they use them for. But they said, at one point in time, God made those things. So they are of God's. It's that Satan has twisted them to his own means. And to convince us that they are evil, that they are not something that we should be using, that's just deception of Satan. I'm not subscribing to that yet. I like the idea that the Great Pyramid was a temple to God at one point in time. I like that idea. I think that if somebody could have made that, Enoch could have made it. We talked about this, I think, in the last episode I did, maybe before that, I don't remember. But that he supposedly had all these people underneath him, and the Great Pyramid was made in such a way that it could have very well have survived the flood, and Enoch could have been the guy because everything about it conforms to his life, So I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. Anyways, back to the story. So I saw the 49, and or you could say 914, 149. I don't know. I kept seeing 49 instead of seeing the 149. So maybe it's just the 49 I was supposed to pay attention to. I don't know. So I was going down the road, and as I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking 49, huh? Okay. I was thinking, well, if he's going to show me something, then he needs to show me something. And sure enough, a little bit down the line, this black truck came from the other side, and it looked like a police truck. I don't know, but I shit you not, the guy came out and his license plate ended in a 3666. And I was like, okay, there's obviously a reason why I'm seeing these numbers. I don't know why. There was another truck that I saw that, what was it? It was a 33636, I think it was, or something like that. And I'm like, that's too coincidental to not be a thing. I never realized it until today that the exit that I get off the where I had to turn off to get to home, the exit before it was exit 49. I didn't know that until today. When I got to get off exit 48. I don't know if it means anything for you, but I think that was all of them. I think it was like 4 different places where I saw 49. I think it was 5 different places. I don't know, but it was enough that the numbers were hitting me pretty heavy today on the way home, and I tend to be one that thinks that you should follow those numbers. What is your deal, Weirdy? Don't do that. My dog. You gotta love my dog. Had a conversation about you while I was waiting on my thing. There was some woman that was trying to talk about dogs, so I had to talk about my damn dog. Love you, shithead. But yeah, that was totally a thing. So, and then of course I was on my phone. I was checking my mail because I haven't gotten anything back about that job, and I was kind of looking for something else because I'm still applying as we go. I found a couple of interesting ones. There's a couple of really neat ones that I really want to do, but I was kind of looking through the phone, and I was just kind of scrolling down, and the first thing I got right here is from one of these. It's just like these spam email things. What was this for? It's for cities for seniors to retire. Am I getting that old? I'm not that old yet, man. Come on now. But it says these 23 budget cities help seniors to retire with $1,500 a month. Why has it got to be 23 cities? That's such a weird number. Why you got to be 23? Why can't you just say 20? Why don't you go 25? 25 is such a better number to go by. 20 is a better number to go by, 10 is a better number to go by. But no, you had to go with these 23 budget cities. And I'm like, whoa, wait, what? And it made me do a double take on it. And I'm like, whenever I talk about paying attention to the numbers, that's what you got to look out for. It's this subliminal thing. I was listening to a guy talking about subliminal symbols as I was driving down to the one place, and that's why I've been trying to tell Angie, and I'm going to tell you guys this right now, is that these symbols are out there. They're out there. You have to notice them. You have to see them. You have to notice the numbers. You have to notice the little tiny things, the little hand gestures that they do, the little things, the little pyramid nonsense and all that, because it's a slow subliminal way of putting these things into your head to make you think that they're not the worst things in the world. Angie always does this thing where she says, it's the power that you give it. It's not the power that I give it. And I keep telling her, I said, no. And this video I saw today agreed with what I had said way before. I said, no, it's these things have been around for years upon years upon years. There's somebody 4,000 years ago that said that this certain symbol means this, or this certain thing means that. Now, you can think all you want. You can think that's what this thing means to you, but it only means that to you because we've only given it that idea within the past 400 or 500 years. I'm not going to do any hand signals for you guys. I'm sorry. I'm really not. I'm not going to do it. I've already done a couple of them. I'm not going to, by accident, and I'm not going to do any more. So you're going to go look that stuff up for yourself. But, I was trying to tell her that it doesn't matter what you think they are. It's what they think they are. And they are using it to slowly subvert people into their way of thinking. by using it constantly, by having celebrities constantly use it, by putting it on T-shirts, by doing this, by doing that. And unfortunately, it's working because people don't understand what this stuff means. Um, you can do devil horns all you want. I've always known that's a satanic thing. I've been to enough concerts. I know what's up. The whole the sign language for "I love you" is just devil horns with the thumb pulled out. But how long has sign language really been a thing? Has sign language been around since the beginning of time? No, but that hand signal has. Go look that stuff up. I am pretty sure that if you go back on some Egyptian tomb, or if you go back in some Babylonian something or somewhere, there's going to be somebody that's got their pinky and their index finger extended with their thumb out, and it's going to be like, oh hey, look, they had sign language back. No, they didn't. Shut up. Then again, I don't know. Hey, I don't know. It could just be me. It could be, I don't know. It doesn't have to be that way. I don't know. You could. It's all speculation, right? Because I don't know. I really don't know. We got to call it speculation, because if I start saying, well, it's that way or this way, then YouTube will be like, nope, nope, nope. You can't be telling those people that. We're just gonna have to take your crap off of YouTube. God. I wanted to make a meme about a guy taking gasoline and throwing it on a fire, and then be like, the guy would be YouTube, and the gasoline, or the guy would be YouTube, the fire would be flat Earth, and then the gasoline would be taking away flat Earth videos. That's all you're doing. Because honestly, once you tell me I can't go look at something, I'm going to go look at it. It just adds fuel to the fire. It really does. Or, like 9/11. Oh, man. I remember back in the 80s and the 90s, and we kind of talked about this before, about back in the day, it was about aliens and JFK, and there was a little bit of a rumbling about World War II, about Pearl Harbor. Oh, we knew about Pearl Harbor. They just sent those things in there anyways. And back then it was like, you can believe it because it's not going to hurt anybody, because it's just tinfoil idiots. They don't know any better, And then it became more and more and more, and then it was like 9/11 was there, but it was like, you can believe it if you want, because it doesn't matter. You're an idiot if you think about it. Why are you even thinking about it? It just sounds dumb. And then I think it was Sandy Hook. I think that was the point, because people don't want to think about little kids dying. They don't want to do it. It's messed the brain up so much to the point to where they don't even want to touch it. So they're lumping that in with everything else, and they're saying, well, you can't talk about it because of one thing. And it's like, well, wait a minute. You're talking about some of the dumbest, most idiotic things in the world. I mean, flat Earth is stupid. Why can't we talk about it? If you can prove it 100%, then why can't you just let these people think that JFK was killed by a second? You see what I'm getting at, And yes, we were talking about fake moon landings way before anybody else was. And when we talked about fake moon landings, people looked at you like you were an idiot. Except for the people we ran with. All my friends, we had this thing where we would talk about it, and it wouldn't be crazy. It'd be like, well, how would they do this? How would they do that? This could be a thing, But now it's like, they're cracking down so much on just even talking about anything conspiracy, and it's like, why? What's the point? What good is it going to do you to take these people's fun away? That's the one thing I've heard about the YouTube flat Earth thing, is that everybody's like, well, why are you taking all our fun? Because the funniest part of my day was watching flat Earth videos. So why are you Why are you taking that away from me? And that made me laugh, is what that did, because I know people that are like that, that'll watch something just to have a good chuckle out of it, that like debates and stuff, that they'll just watch to have a good laugh. And I watch debates all the time too. I'm constantly preparing myself for the first real conversation I got to have with my family members about this stuff, because you have to kind of prepare yourself for it, because they're going to be. If I went to my mom's, I'm sure that, I don't know, she'd probably think I was nuts and wouldn't want to talk about it. But I can see the other side of the family, that I would just be bombarded with nonsense, with questions, and so, and it all comes down to, I don't really. It doesn't matter what you believe. It really doesn't. What is my belief doing hurting you? And I'm not telling anybody to believe anything. I'm just trying to get this stuff out of my head, because it's in there and it's trapped in there, and it just rolls around and around in circles, and I've only really got one person to tell it to. All these conspiracy guys on YouTube talk about there being massive amounts of people that talk about this stuff, that you have a place to go to, there's somebody near you that you can talk to this stuff, or you can talk this stuff about, and I can go to one of the conventions and pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars, which I think is the most ridiculous thing in the world. I understand that it costs money to rent the space, but to charge $200 for a ticket to a convention. Oh, God. I don't know. That's just me. But you kind of understand what my point on this is. It's just that I don't. It's just. It's insane. It's insane. It's crazy. It's insane. What else? What other crazy nonsense? I read some more of the Book of Jasher. It's pretty good. It's definitely it's parallel to the Bible. It adds a little bit more to the story. It still tells the same story, but just adds a little bit more things to it. The one thing I thought was interesting was that they were describing what happens in the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Actually, that says there were 4 cities, and I think it said, I don't remember if it says it in that in the Bible or not, but it talks about there being 4 cities, and these cities were like the places to be, because all these people wanted to huddle into these cities, because these were like, they were like New York, and they were like Vegas, and they were like Los Angeles, and everybody wanted to be there. You can put Chicago in that mix. That would be the 4 cities of America. But they were good at one time. That's kind of what the thing I get is, at one time they were pretty good cities, and the armies of Nimrod decided, screw it, we're just going to take them down. So he goes and invades these places, and then it's like everything just changes, just kind of flips over on its head. And some of the worst stuff in the world, man, and they were laws that you were forced to do this stuff. So one of the things, I'm going to pull it out because I got to remember what some of it was. We're going to go with some of the stuff I've heard about it too. I don't know if what I heard about it was true or not. I'd have to find the books that they were actually in. Actually, it says 5 cities. I'm sorry, it was 5 cities. I had to read the book to know. They were pretty bad, strengthened and aging abominably and scornfully before the Lord. And wickedness and crimes were in those days great. And they had in their land a very extensive valley, about half a day's walk, and in it there were fountains of water and a great deal of herbage surrounding the water. Not herbage, come on now. They were like oases, pretty much. And all the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, all 5 cities, they say Sodom and Gomorrah, but they're talking about all 5 cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, went there 4 times in the year with their wives and children and all belonging to them, and they rejoiced there with timbrels and dances. And in the time of rejoicing, they would all rise and lay hold of their neighbors' wives, and some the virgin daughters of their neighbors, and they enjoyed them. And each man saw his wife and daughter in the hands of his neighbor, and did not say a word. They went out to this oasis, and they danced and they singed. Fuck me. They sang, and they pretty much just gave their kids up and their wives up to their neighbors, and they sat and watched. That's pretty much is that, or is that not what this is? That they just gave up their daughters and their wives to their neighbors, and they sat and watched. They didn't say a word. They just watched it. Dude, come on now. This is base. This is the lowest. I mean, or this is just the bottom. This is just scratching the surface. We're not even at the crazy stuff yet. They did that morning till night, and afterwards they all went back, and they did this 4 times a year. And that sparked my curiosity. That sparked an interest. So we'll get back to this. So the 4 times a year thing. So the one thing I've been looking at is holidays, because we got Valentine's Day coming up. I ain't celebrating Valentine's anymore. We're not supposed to be of this world. I'm not celebrating any more damn seasons. Are you kidding me? Or holidays. So Valentine's Day, of course, it's Roman in origin. It was a fertility feast or fertility something. I wrote it down. What was it called? Shit. Put it down on my phone. That way, if I have to pull it out on anybody, then I can. Yeah. Lupercalia, Roman fertility festival for Lupercus, also known as Pan in the Greek, which Pan is Baal, and Baal from, oh God, where was Baal from? I don't have it written down here. And I knew I should have wrote that down. I think Baal is... It's not Egyptian. It could be Egyptian or Babylonian. It's one of the two. Which is Baal. And Baal is Nimrod. It goes back. It's just the way it is. So you're basically celebrating this festival of fertility for Nimrod. During this festival, they sacrificed goats and dogs, and they would use the skins to make whips, and they would run around and they would whip the women with these things. And when you whip the women with this thing, they're supposed to be fertile. Sounds like S&M kind of stuff, man. That really, and I used to be a part of that scene. I'm not anymore. They used to write the names. Get this stuff. In this festival, they used to write the names of the women they wanted to mate with, and they would put them in boxes. Then they would draw the names, and if you got the name of the woman you want, you got to go with that woman and mate and do all the other fun stuff with this woman. And I was like, man, that's Valentine's Day. You make a little box in school, and then you make little love letters to your Valentines. I used to hand out Valentine's Day cards in the bars. Is what I used to do. I used to do that. Like, I'd go buy some really cheap ass, like, stupid cartoon things, and I'd go find pretty girls, and I'd just give them to them, just to make them feel better. I used to hand out roses with them too. Apparently, roses are not a good thing either. But just to make them feel, because if there was a woman that didn't have anybody for Valentine's Day, I just wanted to make them feel better about it. That's what I used to do. And now it's like, and apparently this whole sex thing, this whole deal that they did, it was sex games between men, women, and children. They were heavy pedophiles back in Roman days. So your Valentine's Day, your one day that you think you should be loving your significant other more than anybody else, started as a sex festival in Rome, where they used to sacrifice goats and dogs. I heard on one that they could also sacrifice children, and they would do pretty much all the stuff that we do for Valentine's Day to have sex. So it got me thinking about Valentine's Day in February. You go 2 months in, and you get hit with Easter. And Easter is the celebration of Ishtar. And if you don't know who that is, go look it up. GTS. Of course, Ishtar is the... I don't have it written down here. I should have written it down. I didn't write it down. I was kind of going through notes on the other stuff more than anything else. But it's Babylonian. It starts with Semiramis, who was the mother of Nimrod, who eventually married her own son, Nimrod. I don't know. No, wait. What am I thinking? Am I thinking about it right? Am I thinking about it wrong? No, that's right. She was the mother. Yeah. So she claimed that she was divine, that she was delivered from the moon in an egg. The moon egg. And she was considered the first get the air quotes, virgin birth, because she claimed that Nimrod was given to her by the sun through the sun's rays. Look that stuff up, man. Ugh. So anyways, that's how you get Easter. That's how you get the Easter celebration. Now, Christians love to say, no, Easter is for Jesus and all that. But you're dealing with the Prince of Lies. You're dealing with evils beyond your recognition, beyond my recognition. I can imagine just how evil that the devil actually is, but no, I can't imagine. I can imagine the lies that could have been created. I can imagine how much he cheats and how much he is how little he actually fights fair. Let's put it that way. The devil doesn't fight fair. So you have to understand that everything that was once good is bad. That's what he wants. And everything that's once bad, he wants to be good. Easter was never ours. Because I've also said that the calendar is probably off from the way that we think it is. It's probably months off from the way we think it is. We don't know. We don't really know. We want to say that Easter happens in April, and the Passover happens in April because it was in the first month of whatever, according to the Hebrew calendar. But I mean, who do you believe? Who do you trust? Who do you really trust? But I was like, Easter's there, and they celebrate Easter through a fertility. It's a fertility thing. It's about the egg coming down and yada yada yada. So I was like, well, okay, I kind of went for it a little bit more, and there's not really much between Easter and Halloween that we do. I mean, there's Labor Day. Labor Day is probably a thing. You just don't know. 4th of July is an American thing, which could be something too, for all I know. But you've got Valentine's Day, which is centered right as things are starting to warm up. It's right between the solstice and spring. It's right in between there where everybody's starting to open up and be fruitful and all this. Then you've got Easter, which falls right in the middle of spring, or it starts in the middle of spring. I'm pretty sure because the church tells us when it is, that we don't know exactly when Easter is, when Ishtar actually is. We can tell we can pretty well tell exactly when Jesus was died and reborn if we actually follow the books and figure it out. I mean, there's a day, there's an exact day for when that is, but the church unfortunately tells us when it is, which is just the dumbest thing in the world. Some people can shit all over that. I don't care because that just really you should test the spirits according to what the book says, not what a church says. That's just me. That's just me. You don't have to believe if you don't want to. You have to believe any of this if you don't want to. So, anyways, I go up to Halloween, which of course is Samhain. Which, if you don't know what Samhain is, spelled like Sam Hain. I said Sam Hain all my life. Never even knew. Samhain, which is festival of the Druids. Of course, it is the day before the Druid New Year. The Druid New Year was November the 1st, which means that October 31st was the day before. It was New Year's Eve. For them, not for us, for them. So they always thought that from October 31st to November 1st was whenever the souls of the dead would come back, and they would be able to walk the earth one more time, and that you used to set candles out so that they could guide their way. But while they were doing that, the spirit of Samhain would be out there trying to eat these souls as they go. Plus, there were other spirits involved. I didn't remember exactly what it said it was all about. But in order to please Samhain, so that he wouldn't eat the world, these druids used to go from house to house asking for sacrifices to burn for or to give to Samhain. And if you gave a sacrifice, then you were blessed for the next year. If you didn't, then you were cursed for next year. That's where trick or treat comes from, because these druids, in order to not be hurt by the spirits that were already out walking around, they would dress themselves like spirits so that they could avoid being hurt. I always knew that was a thing. I always knew Halloween, that the reason that you did that was because you didn't want the ghosts and goblins that were out there to hurt you, so that you would dress like them so that you could think that that's what it was. But I never knew that it was because the druids would go house to house asking for sacrifices. Animals, food, even children. You want to sacrifice a kid, you're going to have a good year next year. I can't make this up, man. This is like on Wikipedia. This is Wikipedia 101 is what this is. This is like base level nonsense. It's not even hidden. You don't have to go find a book to find this stuff. But of course, they would also do like these crazy, these crazy naked freak festivals. It's at the turn of the season. It's pretty much the fall harvest, I guess you could say. But that's where we get all that from. You got Roman Catholics say that November 1st is All Saints Day. That makes Halloween All Hallows Eve. November 1st is also the Day of the Dead for Mexico. Come on, guys, put this stuff together. Put it together. It's all there. But I was like, you know what, man? Halloween becomes that third naked party freak. It's these 4 times a year that these people do. So then you roll it up a little bit more. What comes after Halloween? Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving was probably something. It's probably evil. I don't know. It probably is. I haven't looked it up yet. But then you get hit with Christmas. Christmas has nothing to do with Jesus Christ whatsoever. Christmas is Saturnalia. It's the worship of Saturn. It's celebrating the birth of Saturn, who is, of course, Nimrod, Baal, Tammuz. Who else was there? It's not celebrating the birth of Nimrod. I'm sorry. Well, it could be though. I mean, really, because Nimrod was divinely birthed, but Nimrod and his mother came together because Nimrod was a god. You got to remember this. Nimrod thought of himself as a god, little g. He and Semiramis had a child called Tammuz. You know, and you get into this whole thing with all of these polytheistic ones. They have it always starts with a god, and then a feminine god, usually a virgin, and then there's a child that comes from this. Sometimes it's a virgin, sometimes it's not. You gotta look through it. You gotta discern yourself through it. But they all happen to fall. All these births happen to fall on the same day, December 25th. It's right after the winter solstice. I mean, it was the winter solstice for a long time. I read something for a long time. It was like dead set on what is it, December 21st? Whenever the sun, whenever the sun starts outpacing the nights, or the day starts outpacing the night, where you start seeing the sun more than you saw the night. It's where the turn gets made. I guess that's where it was, something like that. But that's where it was. They just moved it over to the 25th, just whenever the Romans decided to become Christian. I roll my eyes on that. I don't know if that picked up or not. But whenever the Romans decided to become Christian, and they decided instead of making using the actual Christian festivals, which are in the Bible, they're there. Instead of using the actual Christian festivals, that they were just going to take all their pagan festivals and turn them into Christian festivals. That way, they wouldn't piss off all the pagans. I am so displeased at this life. That these lies, this nonsense, and I've known it for such a long time, but I just kind of went along with it. And I have already said this year I am not a part of it. Not only am I not a part of it, but America is so much like Rome. I do not want to be a part of the Roman Empire. I am done with it. Sick and tired of it. But anyways, Christmas, all these supposed virgin births, even though a lot of them aren't, some of them were actually born by the ways, But you've got like Tammuz and Horus and Adonis, that's Greek, and Apollo, who is Rome. Apollo, who is the beast that rises from the pit, also known as Apollyon in Greek. The Nordic is Thor, Hindu is Krishna, and Luciferian, it's the Antichrist, of course. And then, of course, in the Roman Catholic, it's Jesus. It's God, Mary, and Jesus. But wait, we're supposed to worship Jesus. Yeah, well, you're supposed to worship Jesus. That's right. But in the Roman Catholic version, you have the Holy Trinity, which is God, Mary, and Jesus. You're not supposed to worship Mary. She was just a vessel. She was not meant to be holy. She was a good woman for doing her part, but we're not supposed to worship her. It never says it in the book that we're supposed to worship her. I don't get that. And there's a lot of people that they think, well, Virgin Mary's the best thing ever. Yeah, well, that's not the way it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to Hail Mary full of grace. Not what you're supposed to do. Our Father who art in heaven, not Hail Mary full of grace. We had a talk about this, about Catholicism, about people that we know that are Catholics, and I was like, man, I just wish I could just talk to them and just get them to kind of understand it, to see it. I mean, you don't have to completely change your faith around, even though there's parts of it you might have to change around, but it's, all you got to do is just take out the Catholic Bible and then just put it in an actual Bible, and you're there. It's the way it is. Quit worshiping Mary. Quit thinking that you can repent by going and talking to a preacher. They made all that stuff up too. That was just so they could get the skinny on you, so that they could use it against you later. That's quit following the Pope. Pope is not Jesus. Pope is not the reincarnation of Jesus Christ. Sorry, he's not. It just makes me upset. I'm sorry. So, anyways, you have Saturnalia, who was the birth of these kids, and it was a big Roman festival. They celebrated every year by having a naked party freak. They'd give each other presents. They'd bring presents to Caesar. I think it was Kaiser at the time. I don't think it was actually Caesar. I think it was somebody else. It wasn't Julius Caesar. It was Caesar Julius or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. I didn't write it down on this one. But of course, every year they would cut down an evergreen tree. Of course, the evergreen tree may or may not be the tree of life because it is the one tree the entire year that does not die no matter how much you put it through. It's where you get the pineal gland, pine cones. Because pine cones are they're actually very, very fascinating things. They actually open and close to protect the seeds that are inside of it. If it's too hot or too cold, the pine cones will actually close up to protect the seeds. When it's time for those pods to open, then they will open up and they will throw out the seeds that are inside of it. Just like your pineal gland. Your pineal gland is in there. It's got pine cone. That's why they call it pine ale. Pine ale, whatever you want to call it. That's why you see all these guys on all these reliefs and stuff like that they're holding a stick. It's got a pine cone on the top of it. That's why there's a pine cone in front of the Vatican. That's why there was a pine cone in front of one of the things of Greece. I don't remember what it was. We were watching that thing, and it had a little thing there in front of one of the the buildings, and I was like, it's a pine cone. And she was like, what? I said, it's a pine cone. It represents a pineal gland. That's what they do. That's what it's there. And it's like, it makes sense. It's an evergreen tree. This tree lasts forever. No matter how cold it gets, all these other trees die, but the pine tree is still right there. The evergreen tree is still right there. So what do these guys do? They cut it down, and then they put it up inside of a house, and then they decorate it with gold and silver, and then they worship the tree for however it was, a week. Some of them I saw said it was a week. Some of them said they worship it for the whole month. I don't know. I really don't know what it is. But it's like, that's why you put your Christmas tree up. That's the whole thing. They are killing life in order to have that day where they could worship their fucking gods. It's just, oh man. And it's Jeremiah 10. I think it's Jeremiah 10. It might be Jeremiah 10:2, maybe, or 10:8, somewhere around there. Jeremiah in the Holy Bible says, "Follow not those who cut down trees." Who cut down the trees? I'll even find it for you, man. It even says it in the book. There are so many times in the book. Jeremiah 10. We're going to go KJV. There's so many times in the book that just blows my mind whenever I hear it. And it says, don't follow people that are evil. Don't follow anything that is evil. Push away the things that are evil. Just don't follow this. Don't do that. Just try not to be like the people of this world. Be something else. Be something that's not of this world. And it's like, here we go. Jeremiah 10:2. I mean, it's right there. Here we go. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the ways of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. Be not dismayed at the signs of the heaven. He's talking about like astrology, and be not dismayed by astrology. Don't follow that stuff, because it's garbage. Because the heathen are dismayed by them, because every time somebody reads, oh well, Jupiter is in the midst of Mars and yada yada yada, that means that we're going to have a bad year. Don't follow that crap, man. I stopped doing that a long time ago. I stopped giving that crap any mind, because it's like, I know it's there, but it's not for me. It's going to be there for somebody eventually, I'm sure. And some of it makes sense when you listen to it, but honestly, if you hadn't already heard any astrology whatsoever, you could take any sign and read it, and it would have to do with you. Any sign, because it is what it is. Because I've read astrology stuff because I'm a Pisces. I've read astrology stuff where I've read, well, Pisces are this, this, and that, and I could say, oh yeah, well, that's just fine. But then I could read any two or three things that are a Leo, and it's the same thing, and I'm like, okay, that applies to me too. One of those types of deals. I'm getting a headache. Anyways, for the heathen are dismayed at them, for the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the works of the hands of the workmen, with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold, they fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. So basically what that's saying is that they go out, they go cut down a tree, and they go put it up. This doesn't say they put it up in their house, but they definitely fasten it down to where it can't move anywhere. They go cut down a tree, and then they deck the tree up. They make an idol out of the tree. That's what they do. Just blows my mind. But there's just all kinds of stuff, and you hear different guys that are talking about how the things God was very specific in the terms that he used to talk to us. Even in English, it's just amazing how he talked to us and used certain terms that affect us. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. And then you look around at what's going on in the world, and you use that terminology, and it blows your mind. It absolutely blows your mind just how crazy and just nutty everything is becoming. It just boggles your mind. But I think those are the 4 seasons. It makes sense. Doesn't it make sense? You've got that one in between winter and spring, which is Valentine's Day. It's a fertility festival. It goes back for a while. You have Easter, which is the worship at Ishtar, which has been there, goes back for a while. That it falls anywhere in April or May, because there are other. What was it? I was hearing that they said that May 1st was their actual first day of spring or something. I can't remember. I didn't write it down, but it could have been May 1st. That could have been their Ishtar. Is May 1st. They just moved it back a little bit. So there's number 2. You got Halloween, which just because Druids did it didn't mean that it was a little bit before that. It could have been right during the beginning of fall, which would have been what? When is fall? At the end of September, the beginning of October, somewhere around in there. It could have been there, but they moved it back just a little bit, just enough, just to be able to fit with the other ones. And then for whatever reason, we adopted it. Well, it's not for whatever reason; it's for their reason. They did it to us. And then you got Christmas. That's 4 of these fertilities, and it's in the book right here, man. It's in here that they're talking about these 4 different. They went out there 4 times a year, and it doesn't say specifically what parts of the year it was. Like the Bible, the Bible loves to say in the first day of whatever, the first month, or the second day of whatever month. But this doesn't specify. It just says they went out 4 times a year and they had these festivals where they would just get their naked freak on. Does it not make sense? Am I going crazy? Does it not make sense? Am I connecting dots that aren't there? Because I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. But that's there. That's the bing that happened in my head. I don't know if it means anything, but again, every day I ask God to give me some kind of new knowledge, and He gives me these bings. Ned Ryerson, bing. Okay. We're going to finish up this whole how bad Sodom and Gomorrah thing is, and then we're going to stop because I'm getting hungry. I need to go eat. I got tacos. Did you see it? Can you see her ears perk up? What did I say? Did I say tacos? Oh, tacos. Her ears perk. Look at this. Tacos. You want tacos? You going to talk to me? Are you going to talk to me? Okay, let me finish this. And we will go up. Okay, we'll have some tacos. All right. I make her a taco every time. She loves having her little taco. All right, let me finish this. So, other things that they used to do, other crappy things they used to do, and this was law. This was embedded in the law. Also, when a stranger came into the cities and brought goods which he had purchased with a view to dispose of there, which the way I kind of figure that is, if somebody bought something somewhere else and brought it into the city, even I want to say that even sounds like if somebody wanted to sell something to these people. The people of these cities would assemble men, women, and children, young and old, and go to the man and take his goods by force, giving a little to each man until there was an end to all the goods of the owner which he had brought into the land. And if he quarreled with them, then they would tease him with it. They would like run around him and like say, "Ha ha! Look, I got your stuff." And it's like, wow, man, that's bad. And then they eventually drive him out of the city after that because whatever, dude. If you're gonna go cough, go get some water. So then it goes on and it talks about this story about this guy that he came in and he apparently had a mule, and the mule had a really nice saddle. That's pretty much what I kind of got at. Carried a fine mantle of diverse colors, which that kind of sounds like it had a really nice saddle. He had something really nice on his mule, and he couldn't find anybody to put him up, so he just kind of was resting on the street. He just wanted to keep an eye on his mule so nobody stole his stuff. So then this dude comes along and he's like, "You can come back, hang out with me, whatever. I'll hide your stuff in my house, I'll give you whatever you want, then you can leave." So he goes in there and he pretty much sleeps at this guy's place. He wakes up and this guy that put him up was like, "Well, hey, why you gotta go so fast, man? Why don't you hang out here? I'll give you some food, we can drink, it'd be cool, So he stays there for the whole day. Wakes up the next morning, the guy's like, "Hey, man, why you gotta be off so quick, man? Come on, we had fun yesterday. Let's have some more drinks. Let's hang out, chill out. I'll give you some more food, whatever." So he does this again, and then he's like, "Okay, look, I gotta go. It's done." He said, "Just give me my stuff back, and I gotta get out of here. I can't stay here anymore." And the guy's like, "Well, the interpretation of your dream was that yada, 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 And he was like, "I didn't ask for an interpretation of my dream. I asked you to give me my stuff back." And the guy's like, No, that's what happened. You came and you asked me for an interpretation of the dream, and I told you, and now you have to pay me so that you can go." And he's like, "Wait a minute." So they take it to a judge, and of course the judge sides on this jerk that put him up. Because they're like, "Well, yeah, everybody knows this guy. This guy's the interpreter of dreams, and if he says that you wanted a dream interpreted, the guy's like, no, man, he put me up, and it's whatever it is." And the other guy's like, "Well, man, I gave you the interpretation of the dream, and then I gave you all this food. You got to pay for my food too." It's like, oh man, and this was the law. This is what people did. They were just dicks about it. And then this one, And by desire of their four judges, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah had beds erected in the streets of the cities. Now, I've heard other stories about these beds. And if a man came to these places, they laid hold of him and brought him to one of their beds, and by force made him to lie in them. Now, that can go two ways. We'll get to the second way first. And as he lay down, 3 men would stand at his head and 3 at his feet and measure him by the length of the bed. And if the man was less than the bed, that means if he was shorter than the bed, the 6 men would stretch him until he fit the bed. And if he was longer than the bed, then they would draw together the 2 sides of the bed at each end until the man had reached gates of death. So basically, if you were shorter than the bed, they'd stretch you out to make you fit the bed. If you were longer than the bed, then they would crush the bed into you. That's what they did. Pretty much saying that they were trying to shorten you. I've heard stories that they would chop parts off to make you fit the bed. I've heard stories like that. And if he cried out, they would say, This is how it's done. This is what happens when a man comes to our land. You don't like it? Tough shit. And then when a poor man came to their land, they would give him silver and gold. And so basically, he would come to town, they would give him silver and gold, but then they would tell the town not to give him any food. That's what it was. It was that we're going to give you money, but you can't buy anything with it. So if he stayed there, then he would just starve to death because he couldn't get any food. Now, Angie didn't understand that. It's like, why didn't you just take the silver and gold and go away? I said, well, because these were the cities to be. That's like I said before. It's like this was Vegas and New York. This was Los Angeles. This is where you wanted to go. And no matter how bad it was, you wanted to be there because these were the places to be. The only other places that were around was the Valley of the Canaanites, which is where Abraham and everybody was. You could either go be a good Christian with these people, or you could go be Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, it was literally separated black and white. I mean, that's what it was. Not like skin color, but it could have been skin color. Hell, man, yeah, there's a lot of different guys that are talking about. They're talking about the true Israelites are black. Hey, I don't know. You're gonna have to figure that one up for yourself. But that was literally how it was. Is if you didn't want to be here, then you go here. No matter how bad it was, you went there and you followed the laws of their land, and it was bad, like pure evil. So basically, when this guy died, then what happened was these people that gave him the silver and gold, they'd go take it back. They'd go take it back, and then they would strip him of even his clothes, and then they would go bury him out in the shrubs of the desert. That's what I said. Ridiculous stuff. Now, as far as the there was one more. What was the one more? Oh yeah, the one guy. There was one guy that came in. There was one guy that was he was beating up a poor man or something in the city, and he was like, why are you doing this to that guy? And the other guy's like, because I can. So he picks up a rock and he hits this dude with this rock, and this guy starts bleeding. And the guy that threw the rock was like, well, now you got to pay me because I worked to get that blood out of you. It's like, what? That's how it was, man. Is just because this guy blooded you that he expected to get paid for it. It's like, wow. Now, the cool part of that was, though, they took that to the judge. And the judge said, well, you made him work to bleed you, so you have to pay him. So the guy picks up a rock and throws it at the judge and makes the judge bleed. And then he says, well, then fine. For what you owe me, you pay him. That was good stuff. That was probably the best one of that. But as far as these beds, I've heard about these beds, about making these guys lie in them and stretch them and all that stuff. I also heard another story about this, about how it was beds, but it was also like the I can't remember the name of them now. the old medieval, the freaking hell, they're not barricades, they're not barracks, they're called something else. Where if you were did something wrong, if you did a crime, they would take you out and they had the three holes, the one for your head and the one, they chain you up like that out in the middle of the city, and then people could come around and throw whatever at you, which is the story that we always heard, was that they would put you out there to embarrass you and they would throw stuff at you. And, that's the way it was. This is medieval stuff. But the story I heard was they would take you out to these things, and it's thinking about it, because I've seen a lot of those things where it's either right above you where you're just kind of standing and you're not, it's not so bad. I remember seeing other ones whenever I was a teenager, and we always thought they were crazy, where they were lower, like toward the hips, so you had to be bent over to be down in these things. But the story I heard was that whenever somebody would come into town, that if you came in, they would strip you of all your stuff, take all your stuff away from you. They'd put you in these blockade things, whatever the hell they were, and you're bent over, and basically whoever wanted to come by and have their way with you sexually, that's what it was. And that was the law of the land. And that was the way that they. And again, that there was only two places to go at that time for them, because they didn't want to. This was right after. This was right after the whole Tower of Babel, where they still wanted to be localized, but they had separated enough to where, some people wanted to be in certain places, some people wanted to be in other places, and wow, you hear those stories, and man, you don't hear that stuff in Sunday school. Now, I did go to a couple Sunday school things. I was going with my friend Danny. The only way that I could stay with him Saturday night is if I got up Sunday morning and went to Sunday school. So you would hear things like that. But it was always the really condensed versions, It was like, oh, they were just really bad people. Wow. And then you think about those things that you saw in, medieval times, or, that they even had those out in like, where was it? There's a place down south where my grandma and grandpa always used to go to, called Starve Hollow. That there's a town just outside of it called Valonia, I think it's what it was. It's 1700s, 1600s era kind of city, and they still have one of those set up out there, that's like that. And I was like, how do we know that wasn't part of a whole Sodom and Gomorrah thing? I mean, seriously, wow, man, wow, that's insane. It makes you think, which is the whole part of this whole thing, just to make you think. I'm not saying anything's true. I'm just reading what I'm reading. I'm hearing what I'm hearing. I'm connecting dots that may not need to be connected. Maybe I shouldn't be connecting dots. Maybe I just should go back to being in the Matrix. Go back to eat my steak. Go back to eat my tacos. I don't know. I'm just, like I said, I'm just putting stuff together, trying to make sense of it, because I'm starting to see it now. I'm starting to see it. And man, guys, we're kind of on that path, and we can't stop it. No matter what we do at this point, we're not going to be able to stop this path that we're on. And I just wish I could explain it, how eye-opening and heart-opening and mind-opening this journey has taken me. I just it's hard to explain. It's hard to tell somebody that either can't see it or won't see it, that I asked God to show me, and He's shown me, and it's such a beautiful, wonderful thing And it sounds so corny when you say it like that because I've heard that for years and years and years and I never understood it. And yet now I completely understand. I understand what all these people were trying to say because it changes your life. Just way down deep inside it changes you just completely. And it's not a cold turkey thing. It's not like there it is, it's not like that. It's like you feel it and then every day it's just more and more. It's that thing about the empty glass and filling it up, just filling it up with the Lord, and that's what it feels like every day. It's just more and more, and I know it sounds ridiculous. It has to sound ridiculous to somebody that's not there. To me, it would have sounded ridiculous. I would have stopped this video a long time ago, whenever I was younger, because it just would not have made any sense to me. But for some reason, he's opened my eyes. He's brought me to this point, and I don't know why. And this has got to be a part of it. I've got it. It's got to be it. I have to think that he brought me here to this point so that I could do this, so that I could maybe get it out to at least one person. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Maybe there's one person that just needs to hear it. Maybe I'm only here just to save one guy. Maybe that's it. I could very well go to hell after this. Because I've done so much terrible nonsense in my life, but I think that he's opened my eyes so I can at least say what I have to say in the way that I have to say it, so that I can at least change one other person, so maybe they could go to heaven. And I don't know. It boggles my mind that I'm here. It boggles my mind what I've been shown, and it boggles my mind now that I've seen it. Why am I seeing it? So, it builds like that, and that's what these videos are for. If you got anything out of it, you got something out of it. If you didn't get anything out of it, then sorry I wasted an hour and a half of your time. I think it's hour 20 minutes of your time. I don't know. I started at 5:42. It's 7 o'clock now. It's way longer than I wanted to. I got to get some food. My dog needs to go get some food. Hopefully it makes sense to somebody. I don't know. Hopefully it makes sense to somebody. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to me. Sometimes I just sit back and I think, well, what in the world? What am I doing? I don't know. There's so much other stuff I want to say, but I can't do it right now. I gotta go do some stuff. So thank you guys very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, but don't. It doesn't matter. Apparently people are, because my subscriber count has jumped 10 people since I've been doing these videos. Maybe people are listening. I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Hopefully you got something out of it. I can only wish, even if nobody wants to believe, I can only wish that people can just see it. Just once. Just see what I see just once. If you don't want to believe it, just go walk. I mean, that's what it is. But if you can see it and believe it and understand, man, the world could be different. It could turn. It could turn. I used to be such a terrible person. I'm so much better than I am now. I really am. It's just I don't know what else to say. It's just I just feel better for saying that. Something got me there. Ooh, something got me there. Okay. Something got me there. I feel better. Just for saying it. You want some tacos? I want some tacos. Let's go get some tacos. Until next time, guys, I wish you all well in all your future endeavors. And I hope that the world lasts for you. God bless you all. Jesus is always an option. Take care. Save often. We're going to go eat some tacos. want some tacos? Can you hear it? Can you hear it? No, you can't hear it. Tail wagging. Can't. What do you want? You gonna talk to me? Talk to them. Tell them what's up. Tell them what's up. What? I know. Tell them what's up without clawing me. What? What do you want? What do you want? Tell them what's up. You're not gonna talk to me? What? What? No. Okay. All right, we're gonna go, guys. You take it easy.